and this was going to be a groundbreaking step towards tackling the barriers that ethnic minority business owners face in accessing finance. So can I ask the Chancellor what steps the government will take to ensure that the ethnicity code is implemented, supported and scaled so that its principles are embedded across the financial sector? Thank you.
The situation, and can I reassure the Honourable Lady that government is committed to ensuring that firms continue to deliver good customer outcomes now and in the future with proportionate regulation and oversight. I'm happy to engage with her in more detail on the subject she mentioned.
Question, Melanie Orme.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Can the Chancellor please provide an update on the invaluable Viking CCS project in the Humber?
I thank my honourable friend for that question. And at the spending review, we were able to build on the investment we had already made in Merseyside and Teesside with track 1 of carbon capture and storage, and put investment into both the Acorn project in Scotland and also Viking in the Humber to support this government's ambitions for Britain to lead the way in carbon capture and storage, creating more good jobs in all parts of the country, including in Great Grimsby and Cleethorpes.
That completes questions. Let front bench change over. We now come to statements. Minister, Justin Matters.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, I wish to make a statement on the Government's manifesto commitment to review the system of entitlements to parental leave. This Government is dedicated to delivering more for working families. Our plan to make work pay is central to how we achieve this. The mission to grow the economy, raise living standards across the country and create opportunities for all. It will help people to stay in work, improve job security and boost living standards. This includes helping working parents and supporting them to balance their work and home lives. Parental leave and pay entitlements play a key role in this. We know that the arrival of a child, whether through birth or adoption, is a transformative time in a family's life. And we know that the current parental leave system does not support modern diverse working families as well as it could. For example, parents' groups and campaigners have long argued that our paternity leave is too short and compares poorly with other countries. And whilst shared parental leave is available to families where fathers and partners want to take a longer period, evidence shows that take-up is very low. The Parental Rights Survey reported that 1% of all mothers and 4% of all fathers are using this entitlement. In addition, the survey also showed that 35% of fathers are not taking paternity leave due to financial reasons. We are committed to improving the current parental leave system and are already taking action. Improving this system will have the added benefit of increasing workforce participation by helping employers fill vacancies. It will also contribute to increased productivity, benefiting the economy. The Employment Rights Bill is one vehicle through which we are improving the parental leave system. This bill makes paternity leave and parental leave day one rights, meaning that employees will be eligible to give notice of their intent to take leave from their first day of employment. The bill also contains a number of other measures which will improve the support working families receive. It will put in place legislation that makes it unlawful to dismiss pregnant women, mothers on maternity leave and mothers who come back to work for a 6-month period after they return, except in specific circumstances. It will also make flexible working the default, except where not reasonably feasible. And it requires that all large employers produce action plans which will contribute to closing the gender pay gap. So I'm pleased to announce today that this government is going further and is taking another step forward in delivering improvements for working families. I'm pleased to launch the parental leave review today, fulfilling our commitment in the plan to make work pay to review the parental leave system to ensure that it best supports working families. The review will form part of delivering the plan for change, linking to the government's missions to kickstart economic growth and break down barriers to opportunity. The work of this review will support this government's commitments to raising living standards and giving children the best start in life. It also links to work being undertaken to alleviate child poverty. This review presents a much-needed opportunity to consider our approach to the system of parental leave and pay, giving due consideration to balancing costs and benefits to both businesses and the Exchequer. And I welcome the opportunity to provide the House today with more detail on this review. This review will be co-led by the Department of Business and Trade and the Department of Work and Pensions, the two departments who have the main responsibility for the current parental leave framework. There will, however, be close working across government to deliver this review to reflect the wide influence the parental leave system has on the policies in other departments. The current system has grown up gradually over time. For example, the first maternity arrangements were set out in the Factory and Workshop Act of 1891, which introduced the idea that women who work in factories cannot work for 4 weeks after giving birth. Subsequent entitlements have been added to support specific groups as needs have emerged. This has created a framework that does not always work cohesively as a whole. This piecemeal approach to parental leave and pay means that the system has never had an overarching set of objectives for what it should deliver. This review presents an opportunity to reset our approach and understanding of parental leave and pay and what we want the system to achieve. We will use the review to establish what Britain needs from a parental leave and pay system, supporting our modern economy and delivering improvements for working families. We have set 4 objectives as our starting point. We intend to test these objectives as we progress the review to make sure that we are truly reflecting the needs of the nation. Our first objective is to support the physical and mental health of women during pregnancy and after giving birth to a child. Our second objective is to support economic growth by enabling more parents to stay in work and advance in their careers after starting a family. This will particularly focus on improving both women's labour market outcomes and tackling the gender pay gap. Our third objective is to ensure that there are sufficient resources and time away from work to support new and expectant parents' well-being. This will also include facilitating the best start in life for babies and young children, supporting health and development outcomes. Our fourth objective is to support parents to make balanced childcare choices that work for their family situation, including enabling co-parenting and providing flexibility to reflect the realities of modern work and childcare needs. There are 3 cross-cutting considerations which will also be factored into our review. The first is to build a fair parental leave system between parents within a family, different types of parents, and parents with different employment statuses. The second consideration is to balance costs and benefits to businesses and the Exchequer, as well as examining how the system can support economic opportunities for businesses and families. As part of this, the review will consider opportunities to make the process surrounding parental leave simpler for both businesses and parents. The final cross-cutting consideration focuses on improving our society, for example, in supporting the child poverty strategy and on shifting social and gender norms, including around paternal child care. All current and upcoming parental leave and pay entitlements will be in the scope of the review. This will enable us to consider how the parental leave and pay system should operate as a complete system to improve the support available for working families. This broad scope means the review will consider the individual existing entitlements and how best to ensure improvements can be delivered for working families, as well as related wider issues and themes. For example, the review will consider whether support available meets the needs of other working families who do not qualify for existing statutory leave and pay entitlements, such as kinship carers and self-employed parents. It will also consider how the pay system works more broadly. This will be an evidence-based review that reflects and considers the perspectives and experiences of those who engage with the parental leave and pay system. We welcome views from and intend to engage constructively with a wide range of external stakeholders, both from groups representing parents and families, including trade unions, and with employers or employers' representatives. There will be opportunities for stakeholders to contribute views and expertise throughout the review, including through a call for evidence, which also launches today. This call for evidence seeks initial evidence specifically in relation to the objectives, which will set the foundation for what we want our system to deliver. This review launches today, Mr. Speaker. We expect it to run for a period of 18 months. The Government will conclude the review with a set of findings and a roadmap, including next steps for any potential reforms forward to implementation. This is an important step forward to ensure that our workplaces are fit for the 21st century, and I commend this statement to the House.
Second Minister Greg Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister for advance sight of his statement. From personal experience as a father of 3, I understand the importance of fathers being able to spend time at home with their newborns and supporting mothers in those early days. Having experienced paternity leave both as a Member of Parliament in 2020 and 2021, as well as very differently in 2016 while self-employed, I am proud that the UK does already offer some of the most generous maternity and paternity rights, but of course, there is always room for improvement. Indeed, Conservatives introduced shared parental leave, allowing new parents to spend precious time caring for their newborns. It is therefore with interest that we digest the contents of this ministerial statement today. However, I do have deep reservations about both its substance and its timing. I understand the government pledged that this review would be done and dusted within a year, another broken promise. But it's curious that they've chosen today, of all days, to launch it. I'm in no doubt that today's statement has been rushed into the minister's hands to deflect from what I suspect will be a difficult day of parliamentary business for the government. That much is clear, since the Secretary of State was entirely incapable of confirming how much statutory paternity pay currently is on LBC this morning. I welcome the fact the Secretary of State apologised to Nick Ferrari in admitting he really should know, and perhaps the Minister can set the record straight for his boss today. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to make it crystal clear that Conservatives are not opposed to increased parental leave, so long as it is proportionate, affordable, and does not increase unemployment. But therein lies the problem, because this government has left themselves no breathing room. Their political choices have imposed the most significant headwinds on business in a generation. Those choices have driven unemployment up by 173,000 since July last year. Businesses across the land are now contending with taxes on jobs that Labour promised would never come. And now they are staring down the barrel of 300 pages of closely typed union-led red tape in the unemployment bill, which will upset a carefully balanced and fair relationship between employees and employers that has spanned decades. Even Tony Blair and Gordon Brown refused to open that box. No real business supports that bill. The 5 biggest business groups have warned against it. It will make hiring tougher and force employers to take fewer risks on new starters, disproportionately pushing young mothers out of the workforce. Flexible working will be almost entirely eviscerated from Britain's job market. The reasonable measures which employers and employees have benefited from for years that allow businesses to take a chance on new hires. We already know business across the UK have had no choice but to cut jobs, reduce hours, or put hiring on pause because of the Chancellor's toxic treatment towards enterprise. So if it's helpful, I can spell it out for the benefit of the government front bench. It really is quite straightforward. It is not possible to benefit from employment rights if people don't have a job in the first place. And with that in mind, it deeply concerns me that the Minister's statement made only a passing mention to the impact on business. This comes as no surprise, since not one person around the Cabinet table has any real business experience. The government have admitted that this review, which they said would be squared away by now, will take 18 months. Over the next 18 months, we will watch the ravaging impacts of Labour's anti-business policies transform from a drip to a deluge. The jobs tax, business rates relief cut, investment and capital forced overseas, the employment rights bill, the family business death tax, unemployment will continue to rise, businesses will close, and any chance of growth will be sapped from our economy. So it's all well and good that the Minister announces this review in the House today. But, Mr. Speaker, let us be in no doubt. When it concludes in a year and a half's time, Britain's economy will have been stripped of all signs of life because of the choices Labour have made.
Minister.
Well, I take that the Shadow Minister is not in support of the review. Can I just correct him on a few points? Of course, it's not coincidence that this is being announced today, because it was a clear manifesto pledge that we would launch the review within 1 year of taking office. And of course, this week we do celebrate that astounding election victory. it is £187.18 for statutory paternity pay. We know from representations that we've had already that many do not think that is a right level. He mentioned how Tony Blair and Gordon Brown refused to open this box, but of course it was actually under their government that we got a right to statutory paternity pay and a number of other family-friendly rights, which of course the Shadow Minister has taken advantage of. And I think we know where the Conservative Party stand on these issues when their leader says maternity pay has gone too far. I don't quite know what she meant by that, but I think it means that they would be rolling back some of the well-earned gains in terms of family-friendly policies. And, of course, the Shadow Minister, as I would expect, doesn't miss an opportunity to mention the Employment Rights Bill. Could I suggest he has a word with his Secretary of State, who clearly hasn't read it? I refer to his recent open letter to businesses, where he mentioned a number of issues in relation to the bill. First of all, he complained that we're creating the Fair Work Agency, conveniently forgetting that both in the 2017 and 2019 Conservative Party manifestos there was a similar pledge to create a single enforcement body. He refers to an introductory measure on electronic industrial action balloting, which of course Conservatives will be big fans of electronic voting given the number of leadership elections they have taken part in recent years. The Shadow Minister needs to inform his Shadow Secretary of State that that isn't in the bill. So I don't know where he thinks that has come from. We are going to introduce electronic balloting, but it isn't something that's in the Employment Rights Bill because we already have existing powers to implement that. And he also mentioned the Shadow Secretary of State, most curiously in this letter, that there was going to be in the bill a trade union right to roam. Now, I don't know whether he was searching for a new mobile phone contract at the time, but no such right exists. And of course, the Shadow Minister talks about the effect on employment. He needs to keep up to date with the latest Lloyd's Business Barometer, which says that business confidence is now at a 9-year high, and that 60% of firms expect higher staffing levels in the next year. That is a sign, Mr. Speaker, of this government getting things done.
Chair of the Women and Equalities Committee, Sarah Owens.
Mr. Speaker, before I start, I want to say that it's great to see so many and almost every single party represented here but one. The 4 empty chairs in front of us for the Reform MPs, they like to bang on about family values, but when it comes to actually standing up for dads, standing up for parents, they're nowhere to be seen. I'd like to thank the Minister, my honourable friend, for acting on the importance of shared parental leave. And on paternity leave, as someone who had a C-section, I was so grateful to my husband's employers for granting more than 2 weeks leave because, as everyone knows, if you have a C-section, you're not supposed to lift up a kettle for even 6 weeks. It's impossible. However, we also know that not everybody is that fortunate. This is especially true for self-employed people. The Women and Equalities Committee took evidence on parental leave and heard that nearly a third of self-employed dads and other parents didn't take a single day's leave following the birth of their child. So how will this review ensure that self-employed parents' needs will be taken into account?
Minister.
I thank the Chair of the Select Committee for her contribution. She's raised a very important point, and we are studying the committee's recent report on this issue with interest. It is important that we look at how all those in the different forms of employment are able to take advantage of parental leave in one form or another, because it is really important, as my honourable friend mentioned, not just for the physical assistance in the particular circumstances she mentioned, but actually for bonding with the child, that a parent should be there in those early weeks if they can be at all, and that is something that the review will definitely be considering.
Liberal Democrat spokesperson Sarah Alby.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Minister for the advance sight of the statement. The Liberal Democrats welcome the government's commitment to the much-needed review on parental leave. Every child deserves the best possible start in life and the opportunity to flourish no matter their background or personal circumstances. Too often, parents struggle on inadequate parental pay and without good enough access to shared leave. Childcare costs are eye-watering, and the balance between family life and work has only become harder and harder to strike. The Liberal Democrats have been calling for an overhaul of the parental leave system to give parents a genuine choice over how they manage their responsibilities in the first months of their child's life. And if I could just gently correct the Shadow Minister, the Liberal Democrats were proud to introduce shared parental leave in government. However, years later, millions of parents are still being denied the choice to spend more time at home, with around a quarter of fathers ineligible for paternity pay. So as we welcome this review into parental leave, I urge the government to look more broadly into the prevalent inequality in caring responsibilities. And I ask, what steps are they taking to support the millions of family carers who are looking after disabled or elderly relatives who have no paid leave at all? Will they commit to a similar review into provision for unpaid carers and to make carers' leave paid? And I ask the Minister if they will commit to reviewing the needs of carers and those of the families who have taken on kinship caring responsibilities. I welcome that commitment in his statement today, but can I ask about the government's plans to introduce statutory kinship care leave? So we're calling on the government to use this review to finally deliver meaningful reforms that address the long-standing concerns of carers and their loved ones, as well as making the changes to the circumstances of working families that can make parenting a joy rather than a burden, and end the dilemma of having to choose between work and family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I welcome the support from the Liberal Democrats on this issue? And she was right to point out that of course, it was in the coalition government that shared parental leave. I think that's the first time in a long time we've actually heard anyone admit that they were part of the coalition government. You know, there we go. She raised some very important points. I think that a number of these issues will be covered by the Carers Leave review, which is also taking place. Kinship caring is going to be part of this particular review. Obviously, I know that the Liberal Democrats have a long-standing policy on Carers Leave and pay. Clearly, that's something that review will also be taking cognizance of.
Antonia.
Mr. Speaker, and I welcome the announcement made by the Minister today. I think of the HGV driver that I met recently who said to me that he wasn't able to take the time off to be with his partner and their newborn baby. And I would like to hear the Minister assure me and all of my constituents that these new rights will work for working class people as well as people on higher incomes in professional jobs. And would the Minister agree with me that with today's announcement, with our free school meals announcement, with our childcare announcements and with our announcements on housing, it is now clear that the Labour Party are the party of the family?
Yeah. Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for her question. I think one of the real achievements of the last Labour government was to recognise giving children the best start in life is absolutely fundamental to rebuilding our society, and that is something that is at the heart of what we've proposed today. Now, I think she does raise an important point that actually these entitlements do have an element of income inequality to them. That is something that we're going to be bearing in mind. One of the messages we've had very clearly is that many fathers in particular would like to take more paternity leave but just simply can't afford to, and that's something that we will be looking at as part of the review.
Thank you,
Mr. Speaker. Having a child is a personal choice, and it's a blessing that I've enjoyed 5 times. Becoming old, becoming sick and becoming disabled are not personal choices, and yet we've had cuts to winter fuel allowance, and we're about to discuss a bill controversially in this House that would remove a large element of the support we currently give sick and disabled people. What does that say about the government's priorities?
Well, the honourable member will know that the winter fuel allowance has been restored for many people in this country, and there's actually been a very clear commitment, the Chancellor just gave it, that actually any existing claimants of PIP will not be affected by the announcement. One of the things that we are looking at in the round as well is how we ensure that people are able to be supported to stay in work as part of the Charlie Mayfield review, and that is something I think is actually something I would have hoped that the Conservatives would support as well.
Mark Seward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Can I warmly welcome the Minister's statement today? As a recent dad with 2 very recent experiences, I know just how valuable paternity leave is for fathers, and good companies do as well. I note that Tesco and other good employers have already increased the paternity leave offer for their employees because they know a good workforce is a happy workforce. So can I encourage the Minister to actively pursue those companies that have already increased their paternity leave offers to get their data and insights fed into the review with a view to permanently increase paternity leave?
Minister.
Well, can I congratulate my honourable friend on his recent parenthood, and also pay tribute to the honourable member for York Outer, who I understand is on paternity leave as we speak. Now, he has mentioned a very important point about businesses, good businesses understanding the importance of treating their staff well. I would like to draw the House's attention to a quote from the Chief People Officer for Aviva, who operate a very progressive parental leave policy. He said, "The chance to spend more time with the new arrival during the important first few months has proved to be hugely beneficial for thousands of our Aviva parents, from supporting their partners to the positive impact it has on mental well-being and engagement with family life. Equal parental leave has been literally life-changing for our people." Those are the sort of things that we would want to encourage businesses to look at. I'm sure some will be doing equally well on that, and we're happy to hear any evidence on these matters.
Hi, Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As someone who's about to welcome their second child into the world, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be discussing parental leave, and I welcome this review. I note that the Minister said that one of the objectives of this, to paraphrase, is to reset the relationship between men and women and to make that more equal. Might I suggest gently that this is necessary but not sufficient, and really to get to the heart of that matter, we need to look at early years funding. When you have a gap, when it's £6.12 provided by the government, £6.12p, and providers in my constituency, like the Little Learning Tree, say that it's £7.50 for delivery, I think we have a problem there that's going to mean that the parental leave review is not going to get to the heart of that matter. Would the Minister consider including the Department of Education in this review so that we can actually get to the heart of equality between men and women?
Well, the honourable member raises an important point. Clearly, this government has done great work already in expanding the availability of affordable childcare, but there is always more to do. Now, this won't be something that is specifically part of the review, but I can confirm that we will be working with other departments to see how their input can help in terms of the outcomes that we want to achieve with this review.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the fathers that met with me in Haslingden will really welcome this review and the announcement today from the Minister. But in the conversations I've had, I've been really struck by the challenges specifically for some of our public sector workers. Teachers being almost forced back, a week, maybe if they've been able to take that after a holiday period, and police officers as well, particularly challenged around not being able to access parental leave and paternity rights. So will the Minister reassure me that this will be absolutely squarely within the terms of the review, and he'll be looking to make progress on these important issues?
Minister.
Well, I think my honourable friend raises some concerning issues, possibly about the culture at some of these employees who don't see the value of parental and paternity leave. Look, I think we all know that recruitment and retention in teaching is a particular issue. Actually, particularly, there aren't enough male teachers as well. That's a challenge, and maybe one of the things that's behind that is part of that cultural shift that we need to see. So I'm sure that those comments can be fed in.
Thank you, sir. My constituent, Christina Harris, very sadly lost her job when she had to take time off to care for her very seriously ill daughter, Sky, who I'm pleased to report is now in remission. Christina started a parliamentary petition calling for employers to hold open the jobs of parents who, through no fault of their own, have to take time off to care for a very seriously ill child, a bit like maternity leave in principle. She achieved a debate in Westminster Hall in February, which the Minister replied to, and then very kindly he met with her some weeks later, and if I may say so, dealt with her incredibly empathetically and listened very carefully to what she said. I was there. As he said the review will have a broad scope, his words, can he offer my constituent Christina Harris any hope with regards to her idea, and any hope for the approximately 4,000 parents each year who find themselves, through no fault of their own, in similar circumstances?
Well, I thank the honourable member for his question, and it was indeed a pleasure to meet Christina, his constituent. She raised a very important issue, which we know is not isolated. There is, as he will know, a carers leave review which is being undertaken, which I think is probably the more appropriate forum for this issue, but I know that it is something that he will continue to passionately campaign on, and I look forward to further engagement on that matter.
Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I first pay tribute to the Prime Minister and the Business Secretary, along with many others, for leading from the front on the importance of their own role as fathers. I truly believe that paternity leave is the single most important thing that this government can do to improve the lives of families and women too. And I really hope that we can get to providing 6 weeks paternity leave paid by the government at 90% of pay. Employer support, though, is going to be critical to making this a success. So does the Minister agree with me that this review is an opportunity to engage and provide clarity to businesses on how to work with paternity leave and parental leave?
Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for her question. One of the things that's become clear, not particularly in relation to paternity leave, but in relation to shared parental leave, is actually employers often find it difficult to navigate the system, never mind the parents. But that is something that we will be considering and looking at as part of the review.
Kirsty Black.
Only 3% of women surveyed by Maternity Action had no financial worries during the course of their pregnancy. Given how awful the statistic is, will the Minister commit to listening to those with lived experience and actually co-producing the outcomes of this review with those people who've been through these situations?
Well, the honourable member makes a very important point. We, of course, will be taking representations from all interested parties. There is a call for evidence which is now live, will be up for a period of 8 weeks, and we'd encourage any bodies who have got important things to say to feed that in as part of the process.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Alongside this government's actions on increasing the provision of affordable, available and accessible childcare, I strongly welcome this review as a real step forward. Does the Minister agree with me that for many, the complexities of the system we've got form a real barrier to accessing it, and for low-paid workers in particular, the provision of unpaid leave just makes it simply unaffordable? And will he commit that this review will have at its heart true accessibility of the system so that people can take proper advantage of it and benefit along with their children?
Minister.
I thank my honourable friend for his question. As a recently new father himself, he will know the system itself. And one of the things that we do here, and as he's rightly referred to, is the complexity of the system and actually the lack of availability and opportunity for those particularly in low-paid occupations, as well as those who are not directly employed. These are all things, Mr. Speaker, that we will be considering as part of the review.
Lisa Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It is, of course, to be welcomed that the Government is having a look at how best to support all families of all shapes and sizes in the early weeks and months of a child's life. And I know the Minister knows that there is currently a gap for those who are self-employed looking to grow their family through adoption, because we have corresponded on the matter. I listened very carefully to the Minister's comments, and he talked about adoption, he talked about self-employment, but I wonder if he could give constituents like Kirsty from Marple the reassurance that she is looking for, that there will be an explicit stream